Hello and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we will be discussing how to localize NetSuite in France. So the video is in two parts, a summarized part for those who already implemented localization bundles in different countries, and the second part is a more detailed approach of this localization requirement. So there are two possibilities here. Maybe the NetSuite account is a single instance one. For example, it's only one company that's using NetSuite. Or it could be a case of NetSuite One World, so a multi-subsidiary account. In both cases, there are three elements to consider to ensure localization is a success. The first one is ensuring the chart of account is set up for the French IFRS Gaap. Then it's ensuring that the statutory reports have been configured and formatted based on the French IFRS Gaap. And finally, we need to ensure that the FEC has been implemented correctly and can actually be run and adheres to the French expectations. So here's our recommendation in summary. You'll need to install the free France localization bundle from NetSuite. If you don't know how to do this, we will discuss this further along the video. Then you'll have to set the chart of account according to the IFRS France norm. Then you'll need to customize the statutory report templates based on the French expectations. Now you'll want to install the free tax, so it's international tax reports, to have the CA-free VAT report for France. Then you'll need to verify the intra-community report needs of that NetSuite account. Some may be selling or importing goods from the European Union, and if that's the case, then you're going to need that intra-community report. There's also the DAS2 tax report that is a potential report to look at if you want to be able to answer to all the NetSuite accounts needs and actually localize NetSuite in France. Then you'll need to install the optional Litrage bundle. So you might want to install it. In most cases, NetSuite users in France need it, they use it. What it is a way to track the assignment of payments to open transactions. It's not mandatory. It's not even mandatory on the FEC file, but we see that most NetSuite users use it. Then you need to ensure that the journal codes have been correctly labeled by NetSuite and that you can actually see them on the correct journal reports and also on the FEC test that you're going to run. Same thing goes to the libellé écriture, which is one of the fields which is required on the FEC. I'm going to talk about the FEC in a few minutes. And the libellé écriture is a field where the user needs to put some information about what this transaction is about. And the information needs to be in French. NetSuite has reserved the memo field for this. However, if you are using NetSuite on a multi-subsidiary account, it could be that your corporate strategy of using the memo field has been set to only enter information in English so that all subsidiaries can understand what this information is about. If you're putting information in English, then the FEC file is not going to be correct, and so you won't be able to fully localize NetSuite for France. Now, if you already went down the line of implementing a lot of subsidiaries and French is kind of the last one on the list and you don't want to use memo fields in French for the French subsidiary transactions, there is a way to create a safe search that will be pretty much holding all the information of the FEC file and that you can save in a CSV format. The problem with that is that the FEC also needs to be tracked and non-modifiable for the period that it's been run for. So we don't really recommend this unless the subsidiary is very small and they're going to send their accounting information to a certified accountant and rely on the certified accounting firm to actually run the FEC. In that scenario, we could actually build an FEC extraction using a NetSuite Safe Search. Right, next on the list is the GL audit numbering sequence. So this is a feature that you can activate by going to Setup Company, Enable Features, and it's a requirement, it's a prerequisite of being able to run the FEC. If you don't run the GL audit numbering sequence, you will not be able to run the FEC. The FEC will show an alert saying that there's an error, that it requires the GL numbering sequence to be run. So this is usually run once you've closed your accounting, well, you're about to close or you've closed your accounting period, so that whenever you run the FEC, there's nothing that can be changed within the periods that have been closed. So if you've got any doubts on the summary version of what I've been talking about, if you need more information, of course, reach out to us. Now let's move on to the one world aspect. If you're using multiple subsidiaries, then additionally to these recommendations, you're going to also need to implement the accounting context feature and also run the account mapping of corporate accounts to French accounts or vice versa. So it's an additional step, but it's mandatory for you and for the French users to see NetSuite with the French account numbers and the French account names. Right, so this is it for the summary of the video. I'm going to go to the detail now. So thank you for your time if you're logging off right now. And let's carry on for those who require a bit more information. So the chart of account, let's talk about this. So as I mentioned, the French accounting rules require very specific account numbers and account labels. So you have to ensure that the company has been assigned the right chart of account numbers and labels for this to match the actual local requirements. You can find the numbering sequences online from official government websites, or you can get in touch with your accounting firm just to get the confirmations. Here I'm just showing you the differences between expense type accounts and revenue type accounts. So expenses start with a 6 and revenue starts with a 7. Of course, there are balance sheet accounts. There are different informations there that have the specific prefixes. So like I said, just get in touch with your accountant or have a look at it online just to make sure that you've got all the chart of accounts validated as you need. So once the chart of account has been correctly set up and or mapped, then the next step is ensuring the reports have been correctly formatted. By reports, I mean the financial reports, the statutory reports. So these include the French profit and loss, the balance sheet, the journal reporting, the trial balance, the GL, the VAT reports, tax reports, and optionally the Litrage reports. Now, our recommendations is to install the French localization bundle first. Have a look at the components that it brings to NetSuite. So if it's already bringing you like 80% of these reports straight out of the bundle, that's great. You won't have to customize any of it. But if these reports are missing, then you're going to have to customize your standard NetSuite financials and change their format so it looks more like this. Okay, so that's, for example, a balance sheet in France. Now, if you've got doubts of what account goes into which section, you can get in touch with your local accounting firm or basically have a look online. We're here to help, of course. We've been implementing NetSuite for about 13 years now, and our main market is France. So if you've got any doubts, you can reach out to us. Now, it's all easily said that we can install these bundles, but how do you install it? So first, you have to be logged on as an administrator. Secondly, you need to have a look at the components of what each bundle is going to install on your system before installing them. Because sometimes you might not know, but maybe your team has already done some work and named the reports in a certain way, or created specific fields and formats and alerts, and you don't know, and you install a bundle and it replaces or it adds, it almost like makes it duplicate work of what's already been done. So speak internally first to your NetSuite project manager to ensure that there is a good reason for you to install that bundle. So to have a look at the bundle, to find it first, you have to go to Customization, Suite Bundler, Search and Install Bundles on the menu, on the top menu. So once you're on that page, you'll see that you can search and install bundles. You'll just put the bundle's audit name. So for example, here it's tax audit. It could be a international tax report or French localization. Once you click on search, you'll see the results. Look for the bundle that's managed by NetSuite. You'll see it because it will say managed yes, and usually they are the bundles with the most installations. So when you click on the name of the bundle, there's going to be a subtab that's going to show you the components of that bundle. It's very important for you to maybe extract this information of the components and maybe communicate them to your project team and maybe even your financial director, just to clarify if it's okay for you to install the bundle first. Once they give the agreement, then of course you install them. Now, the third step, we talked about the chart of account, we talked about the reports. Now we're going to talk about the FEC. And the FEC is a GL extraction file that follows a specific French format. The file is requested by the French authorities, and it needs to be exactly in the format that the French authorities require them. So if there's any discrepancy, you might be facing fines, you might be having auditors coming over to verify everything. So you want to make sure everything works perfectly right off the bat. So in order to guarantee a great success of your FEC file, you have to, first of all, install all the prerequisites to it, and then ensure that the 18 fields of the FEC file are accounted for within NetSuite on your system. And finally, you'll be able to run the FEC file as a test, maybe on the sandbox first. When you run it on the sandbox, it doesn't really matter if the periods are closed or not, but you'll still need to run the GL numbering sequence. So once you run your tax audit file, what's going to happen is NetSuite is going to allow you to download it, and then you'll be able to send it to this official French authority website, where you'll be able to test the compliance of the file format, of the FEC file format, with errors being notified to you by the French authorities. So like immediately. So you're going to have a response to your file, which will say, okay, it's 100% compliant or it's 85% compliant. These are the errors we found. It could be a column header being labeled incorrectly. It could be that the debits don't balance with the credits. It could be a different kind of information that's not understood by the French authorities. So I'm going to put the link to this website on the description of this video so that you can use it whenever you're running tests. Of course, if you are hesitant about localizing your NetSuite instance to France, you can reach out to us and we'll gladly help you in this service.